how to easily choose an educational approach, public school at home, homeschooling, online school, virtual school. How do we know which one of these educational approaches are best for our children? I have a blog post on my site, Tina's Dynamic Homeschool Plus, that I did quite a few years ago. That's titled Homeschool Hoax, Public School at Home, question mark. And I know through the years it has ruffled a lot of feathers. I don't intentionally try to offend people. And I certainly, it's not my style or way to put down public school, but I absolutely know where I stand on educational approach after my 25 years of homeschooling, and that is homeschool approach. So how do we sort all of these terms out? Is there something that we're missing? Are we taking advantage of what's offered in the homeschool world or lifestyle? And I want to share some points to help you sort it all out. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Tina Robertson. I have been homeschooling about 25 years now. I have 3 homeschooled grads. I'm still mentoring. I have Mr. Munchkin. He's about first grade. It's so much fun to be able to do all the younger grades again. And we're having so much fun doing unit studies, homeschool unit studies. That's the main approach that I like. I didn't start out that way. And then, of course, I'm here on YouTube. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe. I'd love to have you. I just started growing my channel. I had started my channel here, and then we promptly moved overseas to the Amazon rainforest, and I forgot everything I was doing. I lost my mind. We had so much fun. So then we moved back, and now I've reignited my YouTube channel here, and am dedicated to growing it, especially because I enjoy sharing with you things that I know. So my site, like I mentioned before, is Tina's Dynamic Homeschool Plus. I'm on Pinterest at Tina's Homeschool. My Facebook is How to Homeschool EZ with the letters EZ. And I have a private group as well. So follow me any of those places. Get my emails in your inbox. Follow me here. So let's jump right into this topic. Why do so many people, or I should say quite a few, get their feathers ruffled when we talk about the difference between homeschooling, a virtual school, public school online, and all these other terms? Well, let me see if I can sort it out some for you, because what has happened in the last few years with the pandemic is that those that are newer to homeschool have just kind of flooded us, and we're so glad that they're here, and we welcome them with open arms, and I welcome you. But also, we need to be able to inform them and help sort out what truly is homeschooling. On my Facebook page, I guess it was a few months back, there was a parent, it was a dad, and he was arguing with me that he was doing homeschooling because they were doing a virtual school through their local elementary. And I assured him that he was not doing homeschooling. Changing the geography of where a child learns is not homeschooling. It's just changing the geography. Homeschooling is an approach. It is a different educational approach. And so he went on to inform me that his school had told him that he was homeschooling. Again, not that I don't put down public schools, I don't, but they are not the gold standard of what is true homeschooling. They are not. And in my many years, 25 years of homeschooling, I've seen so many changes. So let me try to simplify this as best I can, because I like things simple and I like them explained simple to me. So let me sort out some of these terms, because I think where sometimes different homeschoolers kind of get their feathers ruffled or maybe get offended is because they think they have to make an all or nothing type choice. And that's not what you have to do when you homeschool. So first, let me explain a couple of terms to help you, because and I say, oh, the last 10 years, we've really had a bunch of online schools pop up. So what happens between online schools and online curriculum is there's some misunderstanding. Okay, so an online school basically uses technology. It is an online school. You've moved from a traditional classroom setting in person with the teacher to online using technology. There's an educational consultant. Usually there's a schedule. You have a meetup with the teacher. And it's true now that we have so many online schools that some of them tout a lot more flexibility. Okay, so, but it's still a school. Some of them are accredited, some of them are not. Now, by the way, I don't want to lose you, but curriculum is not accredited. And accredited doesn't always mean higher excellence, rigor, or anything like that. It doesn't mean it's rigorous. It doesn't mean it's better than a school that is not accredited. A lot of private schools are not accredited. I'll say that for another video. But the point is, some of them are accredited. Now, online public school, of course it's free, because public school is free. That's another way you can tell. Well, they're free and they'll send me a computer and they'll send me these books. Sure, because it's public school online. And some parents choose to use that. Some parents need to work a full-time job and don't want to send their kids to public school. Changing the geography means a lot to them. So they'll use an online public school where a teacher lays out the lesson plans and they follow that schedule. And their children get to meet with a teacher online as well as their peers and other activities they may have online. Okay, now an online curriculum is different because I know that Time for Learning, All in One, Easy Peasy, these are a couple of online curriculum, and they always get the questions asked to them. Do I get a report card? How do I know if my child moves to the next grade? But here's the difference. Here's the difference. The curriculum is the only thing online. You are the teacher. You decide when they move, you decide to the next grade level, you decide what material, you decide if you need a report card. The curriculum is just online, which for us, when we moved overseas, that was fantastic because I didn't have to carry so many books in our suitcase, physical books. We like physical books too. But online curriculum is not touting what schedule, what book. They will lay it out for you and you decide if that's what you want your child to do. In other words, the control stays with you. The control stays with you. So public school at home is where you've just taken the setting in the traditional classroom and used technology online. Online curriculum is just what it says, online curriculum, and curriculum is not accredited. Public schools online are accredited. So you can mix online curriculum with physical books that you have at your home. And then as well, what has added more to all of this conundrum is that we have co-ops. Now, used to in the day, when I started, co-ops were just families met together and it was led by different parents and all the children meet together. Now, some co-ops tout themselves as a mini private school. They don't really say that, but when I read what their requirements are, it feels a lot like a mini private school. And I don't want that for my kids. So that's not for me. That may be what you want. And some parents choose that if they work or say, for example, I know, as ugly as it is, sometimes there's custody battles, things like this happen, and the court or exes need to see proof of what's going on. So some of these co-ops and online public schools, they have records. They can do that when you need to meet it. Sometimes we don't have a choice in life. And so we choose those things to make having our children with us easier. But it's not meant to judge. You know, for goodness sakes, we have enough judging in the world. This is not judgment. This is informing you so you can make the right choice. This is no judgment. I know where I stand squarely on the shoulders of being a homeschooler. It is a superior approach. Do I believe it's for every child? Absolutely. Absolutely, it's for every family. You know why? Because it's hard to beat the odds of one-to-one tutoring. That's what homeschooling is. One-to-one tutoring. Not 30-to-1. I don't care how much any other approach will tout the wonderful flexibility. One-to-one odds, I'll take it every time. Now, with that being said, not everybody can homeschool and can do the one-to-one. That's okay. That is completely okay. We're not supposed to homeschool at all costs. Mental, physical, our marriage. You know, we start getting to some of those personal issues that are none of our business. And I just try to stay in my lane. So by informing you, you can make the best choice for your family. So let me go ahead and give you some of these characteristics of the difference between an online public school, virtual school, and homeschooling. What are the difference? Because that parent, or that dad that argued with me online, and I told him he was absolutely wrong. He was not homeschooling, and this is why. Here's the characteristics. I have them right here in front of me because I like to talk, and sometimes I get off sidetracked. But let me rein myself in, and I'm going to give you these characteristics of public school at home. The biggest difference with public school at home is that it's the government control. Okay? They're normally offered online. They have some kind of testing required. They have parent-teacher conferences. They maintain some kind of public school schedule. And now, even after the pandemic, they've become a lot more lax, but they still have 9 o'clock, we meet with the teacher, 10 o'clock, we're doing this, and after 2 o'clock, you can have your free time. I'm sorry, that does not appeal to me. I don't need nobody setting my schedule. Homeschooling, the family comes first. It's family focused. The curriculum is second. I want my homeschool family driven, not curriculum driven. It doesn't mean I don't have standards at all. Matter of fact, the first couple of years that I was homeschooling, I wasn't a very nice person. Because what happens is we're so conscientious. We don't want our children behind. We want to do a good job. And sometimes we over-school. We overdo everything. We grade everything. We try to set our house up and, you know, like a schoolroom. And it's not. It's not. It's life. It's life. And so then somewhere in there, after we school a few years and we see the improvement our children are making, it gives you all the oomph that you need to keep on going because you're doing something right. Okay, here's some more characteristics of public school at home. They tout that they're free because they are free because they're public school at home. They say you have some choices about curriculum. You probably do. They mostly use textbooks. And they have a schedule for them to complete on a timetable because a lot of them are accredited. So they have to maintain their standards. And to maintain their standards, there's certain grades that they have to, they're not going to grade everything, but there will be some parts of the assignments that have to be graded, quizzed, tested on their timetable. Okay, now here's the difference between homeschool and public school at home or an online virtual school. The biggest difference, again, is homeschool is parent-controlled. Parent-controlled. That's the biggest difference between the two. Now, I think what happens with some of them is that, with some homeschoolers, is they think that because it's parent-controlled, here's the Iggy, it doesn't mean that it's all parent-taught. Not all subjects have to be parent-taught. It's just you're the one in charge. You are in the middle. You and your child are in the middle, and everything else is circulating around your needs. You can choose tutors. You can choose online classes, but the final decision rests with you as the parent. Remember, the first significant factor is that all teaching is parent-led or parent-directed. You notice again, I'll make the point again, I did not say all teaching is parent-taught. And sometimes that's where new homeschoolers are like, well, I got to work or I have younger kids and don't call me not a true homeschooler. You still can be a homeschooler as you're guiding and directing and supervising where the choices all stay with you. So it just means that the instruction for the children falls squarely on the shoulders of the parent, free of government input, which is the key to understanding the very fine but clear difference. It's free of government input. Now, some states, and here's another part of the puzzle that comes in, the educational puzzle, and that is some homeschoolers live in states where they have accountability. They have to turn in grades or they have to do testing. Sometimes it's easier to use an online public school. And if you need one, I encourage you to ask all the questions about testing, schedule, flexibility, how much choice do you really have? In addition, I don't want to confuse things, but within the last few years also, well, not few, but a little longer than that, some states also have hybrid schooling, where they go to school a few days and they're at home a few days. A lot of things have morphed, I say, within the last 5 to 10 years. But the key to keeping up with these is just understanding the very fine difference, which is who's making the decision. Is the government making the decision or you making the decision as the parent? See, I want to decide if I do a tutor, if I have an online public school class, if they learn in private, if another parent teaches my child. I want the decision to do all that because I want to keep a pulse on each of my children's learning and their abilities. So the other difference about homeschool is that your schedule is adopted and based on your family's needs and not based on an outdated school schedule, which was set up really when public school was set up. It was set up for a society which was really more agricultural than ours is today. So some of us can choose to school year round. Most of us don't care when public school starts August to May. A lot of us don't care. I don't care. Summer is no different season than fall, winter, or spring. We'll take a break in summer like we do in fall, winter, or spring. I don't have to stop schooling because it's summertime because public school stopped schooling. Now, some homeschoolers that I have helped or coached through my online courses, they drive a bus, a school bus. That's their work, their job. So they maintain a public school schedule while they're homeschooling because that suits their family's lifestyle. Some homeschoolers have spouses that work for the public school system. They maintain a public school schedule. But again, their choice. I'm just saying you have the choice. And also, we realize that here recently, I should say that there's been a lot more free curriculum online. You know, sometimes when I'm helping new homeschoolers, I've helped more of them to get out of online public state schools than I have helped them get into it. And they'll start off by saying, but it's free. Not really free. It's not really free. It comes with a cost. You're giving up something. You're giving up control. Well, now homeschool has really grown and there's a lot of options that we have for online curriculum that are some of them are free, some of them are very inexpensive. So again, free does not always mean that, or accredited does not always mean that it's rigorous. Free does not always mean that it's rigorous either. Free also does not mean that it's not rigorous. Okay, so just think about that when it comes to the cost. You're giving up something. You know, you're giving up your time if you're trying to make these lesson plans, or you're giving up some control. But the point is to be able to know what is offered out there. And as a homeschooler, you stay in control of whether you should purchase a grade level in a box, which is another reason why I don't do public school at home, because it's normally one grade level across the board. Now, some of these online public schools or virtual schools have gotten with it, and they'll say you can choose math this level and you can choose your language arts this level. So they're a little more flexible. However, there are quite a few components that come under the language arts umbrella: vocabulary, spelling, copywork, phonics, literature, reading, writing, oral speaking. There's quite a few components that come under language arts. So again, I don't want that. I choose to go different levels even under language arts. But again, that could be savings for you, mental savings, especially if you have a lot on your plate, or especially if you want your kid at home, but you have to provide for them as well. Then you're like, I need my kid with me. Then look at one of those schools that have more flexibility for the different grade levels, because they've come a long way. There's a lot of competition now than there was, say, 5 or 10 years ago. So the point I'm making is that when it comes to an educational approach, be sure you understand these terms about online school versus online curriculum versus free curriculum. We all know the physical books. We all know we can go out and get a workbook or something like that. But even in the homeschool world, we have so many different homeschool approaches that I want to do in another video to talk about the difference between the types of homeschool approaches. Because sometimes when we homeschool, we use a public school model. Even when we say we're homeschooling, we'll use a public school model at home, even though it's not an online school. So I want to talk about that in some upcoming videos as well. But I hope this kind of helps you to kind of sort out and give you a basic foundation. And just remember, the key difference between all these types of approaches is who is in control of the education, the government or you. And again, just because it's parent-led does not mean it's all parent-taught. Do not think when you get to high school that you have to teach everything. But I promise you, by the time you get to high school, you will know a lot. You'll be an expert. So stick with it. I'm glad you tuned in today. And as usual, if you have any questions, please put them down below. And please give me a thumbs up. I like seeing those on this YouTube channel. I'm so excited to be here. And subscribe and tell your friends about me. And then until next time, bye.